Well, let me start by saying I'm honored to receive this personal friendly challenge, um, and I feel kind of like you did. It's going to be a bigger job than I'm up to, at least at any quick in any short period of time. But let me do a few things right now. Having read the poem just once or twice, and then listening to you read the verse in Genesis, which I am familiar with, but I'm not current on the exchanges with as and veritas. I know it was something about morality. What was it? Jenna Jameson something and morality. Anyway, so I would have to replay those again, and I don't have enough time. So here's my quick response on the poem. Well, I know you want it specifically to be tied into. Well, I will. I'll just give my initial reactions. Then I'll go and watch those videos when I get a chance, maybe late tonight, and then see if I can tie them in. But just first, best I can get on the poem, initial reaction. It reminds me of Job. If you remember Job, having it out with all of his buddies, right? And then God speaks to him out of a cloud and just silences him, right? He has no answer. I see it like that. Apparently in the poem, the writer has engaged or engages in these horrible, foolish wars of wits that we do here often, and steps out. I think the way he wraps things up, he steps outside while he still has in his mind the hope that he's won something. He's the victor in some way, and he's going out to be vindicated or justified by something greater than himself. And instead of getting the vindication, he's simply struck dumb, which I think is probably the appropriate response when it's you and everything else that is, but no other humans. So that's what I thought it said, and he said that's not a bad thing sometimes to be a speck, less than a speck, and it's not necessarily a bad thing sometimes to realize that, and yet it can leave you glad that you're a whole speck. Something to that effect, all right? That's what I got from it. I definitely would need to read it a few more times. I wrote a little poem in response to it, thinking about the Job thing, and I'll stick it over here somewhere. And then in the Genesis quote, I want to see how it might tie in, because I've come to think of that. It's called a death, but I see that as where the conscience comes into existence, a conscience that will never be fully clean, will never have a complete sense of peace, something like that. So, and that comes from a mindset where, okay, if God says, sure, you're going to die, well, then you must surely die. God wouldn't lie, right? And the serpent, bad guy, says, oh, you won't surely die, you'll be like God. So I'm looking for somehow for what God said to be true and what the serpent says to be probably partly true. And so I think I take death as I would see it described in the whole of that Bible, and death means the end of something, the passing of one state of existence obviously into another, because it's the eternal thing, right? It's the eternal life or eternal death, something like that. So I think it is a defining moment for Adam and Eve to disobey and suddenly come into the realization that they have that option and that they feel bad about it. And I don't know how that ties into what these guys are doing. I'll go check out those videos and see. Let me stop this. That's my initial reaction. I just saw this thing about 10 minutes ago, and I'm going to be so tied up for a few days I didn't want to wait. So that's what I got to offer right off the top of my head, plus this little poem I typed up. I'm going to stick it on the side, okay? Thanks again for the opportunity to exchange.